On the night of March 8, 2014, Kuala Lumpur International Airport was alive with its usual rhythm. The soft echo of rolling suitcases, the glow of digital flight boards, families sharing last-minute hugs, businessmen speaking hurriedly on their phones, children clinging to their parents' hands. For the passengers of Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370, this was nothing more than a moment in between, the pause before stepping into the air. Their journey was supposed to last less than 6 hours. Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, an ordinary flight. The aircraft awaiting them was a Boeing 777-200ER, a marvel of modern aviation. 2 Rolls-Royce Trent engines, each the size of a small bus, capable of carrying the jet more than 14 hours non-stop. With its sophisticated safety systems, the Boeing 777 had built a reputation for reliability. To many in aviation, it was considered nearly invincible, and for the 227 passengers and 12 crew members who boarded, it represented safety, trust, and progress. The cockpit crew was experienced. Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, 53 years old, had more than 18,000 flight hours. A veteran of Malaysia Airlines, admired for his skill, respected for his calm. In the right seat sat First Officer Fariq Abdul Hamid, 27 years old, just beginning his career in the 777, completing one of his final supervised flights. Ambitious, hopeful, and proud to wear the uniform. The passengers represented 15 different countries. 153 were Chinese citizens, returning home after business trips and vacations. There were 38 Malaysians, including the crew. There were Australians, Indonesians, Indians, French, Americans, Canadians, and more. Each passenger carried with them a story, a destination, a purpose. Among them was Muktesh Mukherjee, a Canadian working for an international company, traveling with his wife Xiaomo. They had 2 children waiting for them at home. Philip Wood, an American working for IBM in Beijing, boarded that night with his laptop and hopes to see his partner again. 2 Iranian men, Puria Nur Mohammed and Delavar Sayed Mohammad Reza, entered the plane using stolen passports. Their presence would later ignite theories of terrorism, but investigations revealed they were simply migrants, hoping to start new lives in Europe. There were students heading back to school, families returning from holidays, tourists eager to explore new horizons. Some boarded smiling, others weary from travel, just wanted to close their eyes. For many it was an ordinary night. For all, it would be their last. At 12:41 a.m., Flight MH370 lifted into the night sky. The city lights of Kuala Lumpur faded below, swallowed by darkness. Passengers leaned back. Seatbelts clicked. The cabin became its own little world, detached from the earth. For the first 40 minutes, everything was normal. Communication with air traffic control was clear. At 1:19 a.m., the final words were spoken from the cockpit, calm, routine. "Good night, Malaysian 370. 1 minute later, the unimaginable. The aircraft disappeared from civilian radar. Gone. Vanished as if erased. The transponder, the small device that constantly reports an aircraft's position, altitude, and speed, had been switched off. Not broken. Not failed. Switched off manually. At that moment, MH370 became invisible to civilian controllers. But the plane was not gone. Military radar, more powerful than civilian systems, detected it. The aircraft turned sharply west. It crossed the Malaysian peninsula. It turned again, flying south. Deliberate movements, controlled. This was no drifting wreck. Someone was at the controls, and so began one of the greatest mysteries in modern history, the Vanishing Act. To understand the magnitude of what happened, you need to understand how aviation is monitored. Civilian radar works by receiving signals from a plane's transponder. If the transponder is off, the plane is invisible to civilian radar. Military radar, however, can track objects even without transponders by bouncing signals off the aircraft. That night, military systems showed MH370 alive, moving, deciding. From that moment, speculation exploded. Why had the transponder been shut down? Was it a hijacking, a system failure, a deliberate act? No one knew. What was certain was this. For nearly 7 more hours, the aircraft continued to fly. Satellite data, so-called handshakes between the aircraft and an Inmarsat satellite, confirmed it. Every hour, the plane's systems automatically reached out, exchanging signals. Those signals revealed a haunting truth. The plane was still alive, still in the air, long after the world thought it was gone. The path pointed to the southern Indian Ocean, one of the most remote, hostile, and least explored areas on Earth. A graveyard of secrets. The search, the disappearance triggered the largest search operation in aviation history. At first, the focus was the South China Sea, the plane's expected route. Dozens of aircraft, ships and submarines scoured the waters. But no wreckage appeared. Then the search shifted. The Indian Ocean became the focus. Australia took a leading role, coordinating efforts with Malaysia and China. The numbers were staggering. More than 120,000 square kilometers of seabed mapped. That's nearly the size of Greece, or twice the size of Iceland. The cost exceeded $200 million. 26 countries contributed ships, aircraft, and satellites. But the ocean fought back. The depths of the southern Indian Ocean reached nearly 7,000 meters. The currents are violent, scattering debris across thousands of kilometers. Storms lash the surface. To search those waters was like trying to find a single grain of sand in a desert. For months, search vessels scoured the ocean floor. They found nothing. The world was stunned. How could a massive Boeing 777 simply vanish? It wasn't until July 2015, 16 months later, that the first confirmed piece of wreckage appeared. A Vlaperon, part of the wing, washed ashore on Réunion Island, east of Madagascar. In the years that followed, more fragments surfaced in Mozambique, Mauritius, and Tanzania. Each confirmed the plane's fate. None explained the cause. No bodies were ever recovered. No black boxes were ever found. The theories, with so few answers, theories multiplied. Catastrophic failure. Some experts suggested a sudden event, like a fire in the cargo hold, possibly caused by lithium batteries. Smoke could have disabled the crew. The plane might have flown on autopilot until fuel ran out. But this theory cannot explain the deliberate course changes or the transponder being turned off. Hijacking. 2 passengers with stolen passports. Fueled suspicions of terrorism, but investigations revealed they were asylum seekers, not terrorists, and no group ever claimed responsibility. In aviation history, that silence is unusual. Suicide by pilot investigators discovered that Captain Zahari had simulated routes on his home flight simulator eerily similar to MH370's final path. Was this practice? Was this a plan? Some argue yes. Others point to his reputation, his family, his stability. His relatives insist he was innocent. His colleagues defend his integrity. Could such a man deliberately end 239 lives? Military. Shoot down. Some believe the aircraft was shot down after straying into restricted airspace. Rumors swirled about Diego Garcia, a U.S. military base in the Indian Ocean. Could the plane have been mistaken for a threat? Would governments cover it up? No evidence has surfaced, but no government has ruled it out entirely either. Concealment. Inmarsat satellite data was not released immediately. Why? Some believe governments withheld information. Could they know more than they admit? Was the truth buried for political or strategic reasons? Each theory raises more questions than answers. The human cost behind the mystery, 239 lives, remain unfinished. In China, families waited at airports for days, hoping for news. Mothers clutched photographs of their children. Fathers demanded answers. In Malaysia, vigils were held, protests erupted, and suspicion grew. In Australia, memorials were built. Across the world, grief became global. Imagine waiting years without a body to bury. Imagine birthdays, anniversaries, empty chairs at the dinner table. Imagine never knowing whether your loved one suffered or found peace. For the families, the pain has no end. The absence of closure is a wound that never heals. The legacy of MH370 Flight MH370 is more than a missing plane. It is a symbol of human vulnerability, a reminder that even with satellites orbiting above, with radar and advanced technology, we can still lose something as massive as a Boeing 777. It is proof that mystery survives in the modern world. Other accidents, like Air France Flight 447 in 2009, were solved after wreckage and black boxes were found. Lessons were learned, families had answers. But MH370 remains different. It remains unfinished, and maybe that is why it haunts us. Because if we can lose MH370, if we can lose 239 people in an age of constant surveillance, what else can we lose? What else lies beyond the reach of our technology, waiting in the silence of the ocean? Conclusion. So what truly happened on March 8, 2014? Was it fire, hijacking, suicide, conspiracy, or something we cannot yet comprehend? The truth is still missing, just like the plane. I told you the story. Now it's your turn to decide. Is it truth or tale? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to the channel and prepare yourself. For this is only the beginning. Each week, new stories will challenge what you believe is real and what lies hidden in mystery.